Mr. Speaker, that is the biggest positive growth impact that the OBR have ever reflected in their forecast for a policy with no fiscal cost. And taken together with our plans to increase capital spending that we set out in the budget last year, this government's policies will increase the level of real GDP by 0.6% in the next 10 years. Mr. Speaker, that is the difference that this Labour government is making.
Well, I get the Chancellor wanting to find some light in the darkness, and any news like this is welcome, but would those backbench MPs really be cheering so loudly if it had been pointed out that paragraph 2.54 of the OBR report the government is relying on contains this bombshell? Weak growth in imports and exports over the medium term partly reflect the continuing impact of Brexit, which we expect to reduce the overall trade intensity of the UK economy by 15% in the long term. It's a staggering reduction in the potential economic performance of the country at a time when every penny counts. As Stephen Flynn, the SNP leader at Westminster, was quick to point out.
But the one thing that Richard didn't mention, and the Chancellor didn't mention either, is Brexit and the enormous impact that's having upon the UK economy.
By almost every economic and financial measure, Brexit has been disastrous for the UK. But again, it wasn't even mentioned. As Flynn also pointed out,
if you want to grow the economy, you have to align yourself with your biggest trading partners in the European Union, Single Market Access Customs Union.
Even Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch has now admitted the previous Conservative government made mistakes on Brexit, and more specifically, leaving the European Union without a plan for growth outside it.
I will acknowledge the Conservative Party made mistakes, and I understand why the British people made it so clear in July that they wanted a change. We were making announcements without proper plans. We announced that we would leave the European Union before we had a plan for growth outside the EU.
Given the largest factor by far stopping UK economic growth is Brexit, surely now is the time for the government to have an honest and open discussion about the catastrophic damage it's inflicted and continues to inflict on the UK economy. Because until it's willing to have an honest and open discussion about the negative impact of Brexit, Britain's growth, productivity and living standards will continue to be weighed down by the structural handicap of Brexit. And just sticking our heads in the sand isn't going to change that.